I know I'm a little bit behind. My little doggy, my little brown dog, Jazzy, was uh, sick this morning. So I've been up since maybe like 4 o'clock in the morning trying to get her together. And when I took him out and do all that, she was cool. But then all of a sudden, she was back to being sick. So I had to go ahead and take care of her. But I want to welcome you to the Inspiration in 30. I will definitely not keep you guys long, but I definitely appreciate you guys coming out and just getting your word for the day. I think it's very important. I think these Inspiration in 30s help you just to start you along your way and allow you to understand and know that the more that you are reminded of who you are, how wonderful you are, how beautiful you are, and how you could deal with life challenges, the more action you would take, the better you would be at making good decisions. And also, uh, the more courage you build, right? Because it's in the unknown that we don't do most of the stuff. And that's why I'm going to talk about today why we struggle to change, right? And why is it so hard to go ahead and change and do what it is that we want to do? Hey, Kim, and be that person that we want to be. Why is it such a struggle when we desire it and we want it and we, have a passion for it? But then we just sit back and we say, you know what? I don't know. I don't even understand why I can't move or I can't do these things, right? And the only reason why I'm talking about these things, guys, again, is because life now is about action. You're outside. Things are going to start happening, right? You're going to brunch more. You're going to fellowship more. You're going to vacation more. You're going to love more. You're going to be out there looking for love more. You're going to be doing a whole bunch of things. And one of the things that you will see is you will start to discover yourself, right? Because we had a whole year to think. And now, while you're out there in the world, you will start to discover who you are, what you like, what you don't like, and why you do the things that you do, right? So I wrote some things down because I was even saying to myself and just kept pondering this question like, why is it so hard for us to change, especially when we're trying to, move our lives forward, right? And one of the things that I read um, was that when we are younger, we learn so much stuff, right? We learn how to love from our parents if we receive love. We learn how to protect ourselves. We learn how to do a whole bunch of stuff, right? And we also learn coping mechanisms to help us with pain, right? And when I was thinking about it, I wrote it down. I said, in my own life, right? What are some of the things that I learned when things seem painful or when things seem a little bit crazy? I learned to walk away, right? Because that's what I was told. When, somebody argues with you or yell at you or say anything like that, try to avoid it as much as you can, right? Walk away from the fight because sometimes it's not worth it, right? So I learned how to avoid things. I also learned I also learned if something is real painful for me or if it is just too much for me, I just ignore it because I don't want to be able to feel that pain, right? Because I don't want to face what I consider to be hard for myself because I want to be able to still continue to be comfortable in who I am, right? And the other thing that I learned about myself, y'all, which was so crazy, was this whole thing of holding in anger, right? And the only reason why I learned how to hold in anger because I was told to. You better not cry. right? You bet not have no attitude. If I see a tear come out your eyes, I'ma beat you, right? So I learned how to hold in anger, and I learned how to avoid things that I seem to be hard for myself, right? And when it came to love or things like that, I learned to enable versus actually standing up for myself, right? Because I told you guys over and over when I was coming up, my definition of love for what I saw with my grandmother was that revolving door. You can hurt her, you could yell at her, you could cuss her out, you could do all this stuff. And but if you showed up at the door, she will let you in, right? She will sit down and act like nothing happened. She will take you back in because she said that's what family do. We fight, we argue, we do all this, but we love each other. So my definition of love was to be able to allow myself to take someone else's shit, also enable them, right? Because if they was always down and out and all this stuff, I would have to run and help them and do all this. And to me, that was considered to be love. You get what I'm trying to say? So all these things I learned, right? Being young. And the last thing that I learned, and I'm just giving y'all examples because I'm going somewhere with this, because I want you to see how you act in your own life as to why it's so hard for you to change, right? The other thing that I learned is that you got to work hard for everything that you want. It doesn't matter how small or how big. If you're not working hard, you're not doing anything, right? So that meant you always have to be able to work two jobs. I remember my grandmother would say you got to get your hands dirty, right? You got to get down in there and you got to work. You got to sweat. You got to do all of this, right? So that you'll be able to gain some monetary value, money or whatever it is. So what they used to do to us when we were younger, and think when you were younger, when my uncles or aunts would say anything, they'll say, "I give you $5 if you go do this. I give you $1 if you go do that." So what I learned is that in order for me to get my reward, a monetary reward, I had to go work, right? So now I'm walking around with all these things that I learned. I learned how to avoid, I learned how to procrastinate, I learned how to enable, I learned how to hold in my anger, because if I cried, I was gonna get hurt worse, right? I learned how to do all these things. And then guess what? I got older, right? I got older. And so now I'm not 16, 17. I'm 25, 35, 40, right? And when something happens to me, when I'm in a relationship with someone, and my ex-husband, he always listens, so he probably on here, but not gonna say anything. Every time we would have an argument, or every time it was something where, it was bad for us, uh, I would always want to talk it out. I will always want to just relax, right? I will always leave the door open, no matter how much you hurt me, right? Because that's what I saw. That's how I learned. That's how I was programmed. When things made me angry, and I wanted to lash out, I always thought about uh, making sure I keep my anger inside. Because if I did lash out, I might make the problem worse. So I was afraid to go ahead and do that, right? And of course, with the whole thing of enabling, it could be anybody, it could be family members, it could be relationships, all that stuff. When it comes to my little brother who lives here, oh my God, as soon as he get into trouble or something like that, I was running to help him, make sure he was cool, make sure that he was all right, even if he was in the wrong, because I was told that that's what you do, right? But what happens, and this is where you need to ask yourself this question, ladies, what happens when those things that used to serve you back then is no longer serving you, but holding you back? Those solutions that you had to maintain your life at that young age, because you had no control over your life then, those solutions don't work no more. Holding in your anger because you don't want to make a problem worse stops you from expressing yourself. Enabling someone, whether it's family or relationships, is hindering you so much, it's making you sick. Telling yourself that you need to work hard to get what it is that you want, you running yourself ragged, trying to get something and working so hard and don't know why you can't achieve things. And you sit back and you say to yourself, why in the hell is it so hard for me to change? Inside, I feel something different. Why can't I move along in my life? Because those coping mechanisms that we had when we were younger, y'all, and I'm telling you this, all I want you to do is observe. I Even if you have to watch this later, right? So that you can actually understand what I'm saying. I'm cool with that. I just want you to observe how you deal with situations, because those coping mechanisms that we needed and came up with when we were younger, those things became patterns in our life, and it became the way we developed our character. And now we tell ourselves that's just the way we are. That's just how we are. I always hold it in because I don't want anybody to see how angry I am. I don't want my kids to see it. So you go somewhere else and you let it out, or you don't let it out at all, and it physically makes you sick. Right? When you find love and you find somebody that you believe you love, where really you're more attached to them because they are doing things that you are familiar with. They are hurting you. They are talking to you in a way in which you adopted to a long time ago. And we don't want to see that. We don't want to see ourselves like that. That's a hard thing to admit, because we believe that the values and everything that we were taught is what got us to this point. And that is true. That is true, right? But when we try to do something different to achieve our goals and our dreams, and to do this relationship different, to have a different relationship with our family and kids, it seems like it is an uphill battle. Like that shit is hard. Like you get frustrated, you get upset. People think you become mean. No. You know what's happening? You're becoming out of order because you don't know this new way of being. You want it, but you don't know how. You want it, but you're trying to figure out how to do it. You want it, but you making up stuff along the way of how you think it should be, right? And that shit is hard because what you telling yourself is, I gotta unlearn some of this stuff that my parents taught me, that I saw, that I learned from friends, that I learned all from all these people in order to get that, whatever that is for you. Because the person that you currently are right now is not enough. And that's some hard shit to face. You get what I'm saying? I hope y'all understand what I'm trying to say. The values and everything that you have been living with for years and years and years might not be enough to carry you over to where you want to be. Sometimes you have to unlearn everything and start from scratch like a baby. But then we say, oh, hell no, Glow, I can't do that. Because that means that I'm out there for real, right? Like I'm vulnerable like a mother, because now I have to trust and believe what someone else is saying about me, about life. And now I have to see life in a different way. And you're saying to yourself, like, no, because I was taught not to trust people. I was taught to be self-aware. I was taught to make sure that you have people prove to you how much they love you, show you what it's going to take in order for them to be loyal to you, to be here, right? Because you don't want no surprises, because you don't want to be hurt, because the hurt and the pain is so great, you know it will keep you stuck. And so you say, nope, not me. I'm not changing that part. You get what I'm saying? I'm not changing that part. Because see, if I do, then I'm out of order. And I won't be able to control my environment. I wouldn't know how to basically live, because this new way of living is so scary. Where how in the hell am I supposed to make this thing work? I'd rather hold on to what my grandmother told me years ago. I'd rather do that because it feels good to me and I know it. And it's comfortable for me. So if I can sit here and say money don't grow on trees, you have to get your ass out there and work for it. That's just what I'm gonna have to believe. Because I can't believe you, Glow, when you tell me that I could have anything and everything that I want. I can't believe you because I can't see it and I don't see it. And because I can't believe what you say, I have to rely on what I was taught. In order for me to have what I want, I have to work twice as hard than the next person to get it. And I'm sorry, there's no other way to think. And I say to you, what if you decided to at least let that go just for a whole week, where you don't have to work twice as hard, 3 times as hard as somebody else, that you don't have to bust your ass to make a small check every 2 weeks that's already spent before you got it. That what you can do is sit back and concentrate on what you want and start to make steps towards that, so that when you are working, you get to see that job a little bit differently. You get to see this job as your financier of your dream, instead of you busting your ass thinking that it is here to give you that security, to keep you safe, to pay your bills, but you come home with nothing. You get what I'm saying? That relationship that you in, that marriage, that person that you know you love. Do you love them because you don't want to be lonely, because you were told back then and you experienced your mom being lonely, she complaining about there's no good men, she was sitting up there saying she wants somebody, then you figure out that you growing up saying the same thing, that you want somebody, you don't want to be lonely, you saw your mom sitting on the couch worrying about you, where you been and all this stuff. And every time she did get a man, all of a sudden in your mind, she found a way to mess it up, or that person took advantage of her. So now you're trying to sit back and think, man, I'm in my marriage or I'm in this relationship and I love this person, but why do I love this person? Do I love this person because I don't want to change, right? What I know, and that is the fear of being alone, saying I'm too old to get out there and get someone, so Larry will do. He ain't all that bad. I mean, he got his shit. That's okay. So do I. So he ain't that bad. I can actually take that. So every time Larry does something to you or hurt you in a way where you know deep down inside you deserve better, you accept it because you saw your mom accept it. You accept it when somebody hurt you because you were told to keep your anger inside. You were told that love hurts. You get what I'm saying? So when somebody does come along and says to you, you know what, Vanessa, I just love you for you. I just think you are the best person. I know you're not perfect, right? But the only thing that I want to do is just make sure that I am here, right? To support you and nurture you with whatever it is that you want to do. How you going to react to that? Because see, that's change. You won't even believe that. Because you will think it is too good to be true. And you're going to be waiting for the other shoe to drop. Because that's not what you used to. Right? Because all you hear is there's no good men out there. I've been cheated on. This happened to me. This happened to me. And so you talking all the right things, brother, and I understand. But again, you got to show me. You got to show me. Because if you don't, I'm going back over here to what I believe. So we struggle to change, right? Because when we let go of these things, it causes chaos in our life because we're too out there and we're too vulnerable, right? Where we gotta know that because life is a journey, and everybody says that life is a journey, it is filled with ups and downs and danger zones and excitement and accomplishments and everything. So because that you know that life changes just like the seasons, you can too. Can you hear me? You can too. And that requires you to be willing to make better decisions and to put yourself out there to be a little bit more vulnerable and to continuously ask yourself, are the things that I'm thinking now, is it still serving me or not? This man walking in the house every day that I say I love, that I want to be with, is the way that he treating me really something that I can deal with? Or is this something that I've been dealing with my whole life? Doesn't mean that you have to leave your relationship, ladies. I'm not saying that. But when you do ask yourself this question, then you ask yourself, well, what is it that I do want? How do I want to better my relationship? How do I want to live my life? Because we want it, but we don't know how to do it. Because we are not willing to give up those things that we were comfortable with that's working for us. And that worked for us, right? So now we say, I can't believe I'm so resistant to change. I can't believe that I'm actually sabotaging myself. But you know what we do? We want change so bad that when we don't change, when we think about how much we are stuck in life, it produces more suffering down the line, because you're constantly thinking about where you are and how much better you could be doing and what you should be doing and what you're not going to tolerate and how you could say no. And now is driving this thing in you where you just get negative and depressed and having anxiety, and next thing you know, here we are, we done developed a whole new thing called mental illness, right? We start getting obese. We start taking drugs and having addiction and all these things. Not because we didn't have the desire to change, but the chaos of changing is so uncomfortable, y'all, where if we don't have the help to do it, it staying where we are causes so much suffering where we literally kill ourselves. And that's the honest to God truth. Some of us mask it differently, right? We'll stay in a dead end job, we'll stay in a dead end marriage, we'll just stay there and just be like, this is my life. This is just what it is. This is what God has told me to do, y'all. I guess this is just what it's gonna be. I wanted to be that fashion designer. I wanted to help those kids. I wanted to, live the life that I wanted to live and travel the world. But, you know, it meant that I would have to give up the idea that I can actually have uh, uh, these things in my life and give up the things that are around me, my friends, my family. And I wasn't willing to do that. How many times you heard that? I really didn't go to college because I had to stay home with my mom. I couldn't leave her behind. She was sick. She needed me. I couldn't go and fulfill my dreams because everything went to my kids. They needed me more. And hear what I'm saying. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, right? What I'm saying is With everything, there's a season. So if that's the season that you in, understand and know that this too shall pass, because you got to do what you got to do. But in that season, just like we did last year, that's where you plan. And that's when you build up your faith. And that's when you build up your courage to know and to understand that once this is over, once I get through this part of the journey, oh shit, it's about me. I'm about to go and do the stuff that I wanted to do. I'm not afraid to change because this is what I always wanted. I'm not afraid to step out there because this is what I said my life would be. I don't care about the challenges because all the shit that I went through just to get to this point probably won't even compare. But if I stay where I am, I definitely know if I stay stuck where I am, that I'm going to regret and have guilt for the rest of my life. And I can't do that. I can't do that. Because I will constantly replay over and over and over in my head what I could have been, what I could have done. And I don't want to succumb to any addictions or anything to suppress that down, to suppress that God voice in me. I don't want to become numb in order for me to just continue to be this walking dead through life, because that's not what life is about. Eventually you're gonna bust out, and it's gonna come in different forms, in anger, in acting out, and all that stuff, right? So if you want to know the moral of this inspiration in 30, why we struggle to change is because we have to be able to unlearn those things that no longer serves us, and be willing and open and trusting and have faith that even though we are walking down a dark path of chaos, that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And the only thing we have to do is be courageous enough and face our fears in order to get there, right? Because if we have to leave all of our habits behind in order to get where we want to go, and we have to learn little things along that journey in the dark, what did we talk about before? Things are birthed in the dark, not in the light. Things are birthed in the dark. That's why you got to go through it. Doesn't mean that you don't take your skills with you. Doesn't mean you don't take your skills with you. But some of the things that you needed to learn to cope with, to keep you safe and all that stuff, some of them you don't need it anymore. Because some of those things are what's holding you back. And all I'm trying to get you to do is be aware of what those things are. Be aware of what those things are. And say to yourself, well, shit, no, that's not serving me anymore. Sitting here allowing somebody to yell at me and me just walking away saying it's okay, and they getting louder and louder and more disrespectful. Nah, I can't do that no more. I can't do that no more. Sitting here allowing my boss to say what he want to say to me, can't get a raise, and they telling me what my self-worth is, and me allowing myself to take that because I'm so afraid to jump out there to see what life has to offer me because I don't really know what my worth is. I can't take that anymore. I can't take that. We got to be able to walk down that dark tunnel, ladies. But I promise you, and I'm going to let you go. I'm going to promise you when you do, and you get to the end and you see that light, you are going to start to just come alive because all the things that you learned in the dark, just as they say, will be birthed in the light, will come to light, will come to light. So when you walk in that light, you're a totally different person. And that's how change happens. You're not perfect. Doesn't mean that life gets easier. Doesn't mean you escape all the dramas and the dangers and everything of life. That's not what that means. But you come out less fearful, more courage, more self-worth, and more self-love. And that's worth everything. That's worth everything. So there you have it. That's all I got. We struggle to change because we don't want to let go of who we were. Once we decide to let that person go, only take what we need and open ourselves up to learning something new, then that's when our goals and dreams and desires can be accomplished. That's it. I love you guys. I gotta go. I'll see ya. Okay?